Hello, everyone.
Good.
This is going to be a Rome 1 matchup tier list. I'm here to do it with Luke. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, so basically we've listed a bunch of like relatively even matchups. This was just taken from RV9, but there are probably more, so if we end up getting more, we can do it. And so yeah, Luke, what do you think what are we ranking them on exactly, or like inexactly, I guess is probably a better way. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's an interesting idea. Topic. Like, not really just one thing, but I think there's maybe like three or four criteria that we might be considering, which is like how interesting it is and like how cutting edge the meta is for the matchup is one, and then two would be like how fair it is in like a competitive context, or like does it is it useful for picking in tournaments?
Hmm.
Because generally speaking, you're not going to want to pick matchups that one side is sort of clearly stronger. Um, and then there's the aspect of how fun it is to play and how fun it is to watch. So I would say those are like the
Yeah, that
four.
sounds good. Good. All right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, we'll kind of discuss the matchups as we go through them. I guess is the easiest way to do it. Anyway, I have the list. You can see this, right? So like I have the list here, starting with well, a pretty classic one: Carthage versus Macedon. I'd say this is like one of the most like cookie cutter matchups, like very similar factions. Um, but not necessarily similar gameplay. Like I mean, I don't know. They are kind of, but there's multiple ways to play it. So yeah, what do you think about this?
Okay, yeah, like I'll just go through the different criteria. If as far as like how cutting edge the meta is, I would say not very. I think this matchup has been played kind of similarly for the last like year and a half at least.
Hmm.
I haven't seen like that much change in how it gets played. And um, actually, I did make a Carthage army recently because I've been having the feeling that Macedon is just better than Carthage. And so that leads me to believe that this isn't a great matchup. Like, I would never pick Macedon versus Carthage in a tournament because I just wouldn't want to play with Carthage. So I would. It is kind of fun to play, but for me, it's a little bit stale because it gets played so much. And so I would consider this like a mid tier matchup or a low tier matchup.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's something that we'll see a lot is like, well, I don't know, like the army that you have for Carthage, right? The idea to make things like different is to like create imbalances, right? Like a lot of time matchups are very boring because they're very equal, and so like the way to like move away from that is to like create imbalances in the armies, and so like that's one thing you can
Yeah.
try to do. But yeah, I'd agree. I'd say this is like I'd say it's not like terribly unfair. I think it's like a I'd
No,
say
it's
it's like a
not.
decent skill check in the sense that it's more than just like the catfight. I mean, the catfight's obviously always going to be important. Like you do have infantry, like the archer like management is important, and like how effectively you can hunt down archers. That's basically like 90% of this matchup, to be honest. But there also are pikes involved. Like there's multiple things. Like you have to calculate sometimes. Like is it worth to like kill the pikes here, lose some cav or not? So there's some stuff going for it, but yeah, I think it's a pretty boring one. I'll put it in like B for now, I guess.
Yeah, I think like the thing about the matchup is that by far the most salient difference between Carthage and Macedon is the range of the missiles,
Hmm.
and Macedon being sort of superior across the board with missile range and everything else being so similar. I feel like that's my gripe with the matchup.
Yeah, I think the one thing is like if you compare it to Rome versus Rome though, for example, right? Like because of that difference, it leads into the archer chasing phase faster. Like Rome versus Rome, you just sit there and you shoot each other and all archers die. Whereas in this matchup, like you don't really, or you're not really able to do that as Carthage, so you kind of need to initiate like a an archer killing phase.
Yeah,
And that can there are skill involved in that. I would say it's yeah, I would put it in like low B though. Oh, anyway.
yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay. Next up is something I think we'll both think is not very good. Is Egypt versus Brits. This was like like somehow like a staple like back in the day. I feel like, but nowadays it's like kind of not playable, honestly.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess Brits can win. Um, I don't know. It's playable, it's just not for me, right? You'd clearly prefer to be Egypt. That to me goes without saying.
Mm.
Um, Playing with Brits in general is not really fun. Um, I don't even know if playing with Egypt. Well, playing with Egypt is fun in the con when you have like Desert Cav spam and Chariot Archers, but I feel like playing with Chariots as Egypt is not that fun either.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
then the one thing that I will say for this matchup is I think it's like relatively unexplored in the like meta wise. So I think I think that if somebody was trying to get a matchup that they could use in matchup based tournaments to like really catch somebody off guard, honestly Egypt versus Britons would be a good contender for that.
But they need a good idea with Brits. Something they would need to. Yeah.
Yeah,
They would have a plan.
I feel actually the Brit ideas are less interesting than like what precisely do you do as Egypt? Because like it's clear that Egypt has an advantage, but how exactly to realize that advantage is kind of interesting, especially when um if you're facing like a really good Brit player.
Right.
So if you have like a sick Britons, then I would consider this to be a possible matchup that you'd want to pick.
Yeah. I can see that. But yeah, I think
I think
all.
most of the meta shit for Brit doesn't come down like the cutting edge of Brit meta isn't taking like because like actually Varus beat me in a flash tournament with sword spam in this matchup as Brits, but I actually like I fucking don't like that. I don't think it's good. I just think like I failed in countering that, but I feel like in a long series you just lose more than you win taking sword spam.
Mhm.
But I think there are like I think Brit actually stands to benefit from the like technical improvements that have been made over the last like couple of years. If somebody like really hardcore wanted to like grind Brit, I feel like they would actually get some efficiency gains out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. It's just a hard one. I just think it's like Brit is like I agree there is like something you can do, but it's just like the range of your missile units and like the fatigue. It's a tough one. But yeah, maybe there's
Brit
something.
is just it's so strong, but it's so fucking awkward to play because your skirmishers are like running around into uh bad situations constantly because they're so short range. It's just
Yeah, like if you want to
like if you
shoot, you
take
have to
them
turn it
off
off
skirmish
skirmish
mode,
mode. Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But if you take them off skirmish mode, they just end up like running into shit. Like
Hmm.
really annoying thing you can do against a Brit player is just like put your infantry in front of your archers and then pull them back and then put them forward again and then pull
Yeah,
them back
yeah,
because like you're just fucking with their whole mojo.
yeah. When you have to do that across the board, like micro that as Brit, it's really hard, and you can just get caught, especially against like Egypt, where they just have the chariots and they can just like catch you. It's tough. But they're yeah, I'd say this is like a C
Every
tier
time
game.
I
I think overall
sorry,
with the no, you can finish.
like every time I play Brit, I'm like, there's like a moment of time where I'm like panicking because I just like don't have control over all my units. There's just like so much micro to do. But then Brit is just so good that it ends up working out in
Yeah,
the end.
yeah. They're even like the skirmish units are like remarkably like head hurlers, like they can get caught, but like they don't necessarily get fucked up, especially if they're like fresher. you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, where do we put this? C tier?
I feel like it's another low B. I don't
Okay,
know.
okay.
Cuz like I actually think that it has more like there's more life in this matchup
Just
than in
because of the
Carthage Macedon.
unexploredness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. All right. Next up.
By the way, we just lifted this list from one of the RV tournaments. This
Yeah.
is not really a comprehensive list of all matchups that
This
you
is just a
could
fast way to
play at
get like an
15-15.
idea. Yeah. In fact, some of these I don't think, as we'll go down, I don't think should be played at 15-15. In fact,
Yeah,
the next
probably
one is
not.
probably one that should Macedon versus Pontus. Um,
Yeah, that's got to be an F tier matchup, right?
it's
Like
just
Pont
like
just fucking bodies Macedon. Actually, Macedon probably has some play, but so maybe it's not like F, but
yeah,
it
I think
is
it. Yeah, it's
Uh,
definitely tough. Like, I mean, I think that this matchup's actually played at like 13-15 or something in the con.
yeah,
Um, and it's actually a really, really, really good matchup at that money. Like, it's actually insanely good.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
But at
No, it
15-15,
has.
it's tough, I think.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of have to screw up with Pont to lose though.
Like, the problem here is, like, at 15-15, the pikes for Pontus are just, like, better than the pikes that Mastodon can bring, I think. Unless they go, like, super, super pike heavy investments. And then you still have the fucking size chariots and the chariot stuff, so. Yeah,
Like, I
not.
think you have to go like super hardcore archer heavy. I feel like if you're not taking 6 Cretans, you're gonna lose as Macedon.
Hmm. Yeah, it's.
That's how I feel about Pont. Like in 90% of matchups, it's like if you're not, you should just be maxing out your missile force against Pont
Right.
like every single
Yeah,
time.
yeah. But anyway, I think because this is, like, not really a matchup, it has to go kind of, like. I won't say F tier, I think it's not that bad, but it's pretty bad. Like.
If we're not putting that in F tier, are we putting anything in F tier? Like,
There might be some later on. I don't know. I mean, we could put it in F tier for now, in the sense that it's like not a matchup. It's basically not a matchup. Not
uh,
played. Anyway, okay. Next up, Dacia versus Thrace. I think this is a good matchup actually. I think Dacia's probably better, but it's one of the interesting, like, unbalanced
I'm
matchups.
not even sure that Dacia's better. Um, you're right. They are probably slightly better,
But not
but
by much, right? Like,
yeah.
the fact that it's so unbalanced in terms of, like, the playstyle of the two factions, I think makes this a very good matchup.
Yeah, I mean it's like Dacia should be better, but the fucking stamina and speed attributes of those barbarian cav are just
So
so
bad, yeah.
trashy that it just ends up like yeah, it's just like chasing militia cav is just such an annoying thing for Dacia to do.
Yeah,
And yeah, I would say it's like very fun to play, very like technical. Like if you're just good at playing Rome Total War, you'll be good at that matchup.
yeah,
It's not like there's not a lot of theory crafting, especially not for Thrace. Like you're basically gonna do. Actually, Thrace is like one of the least. Like you have to really be pushing to get new theory for Thrace. But especially when it comes to army comp,
I don't
the
think
way
there's.
you
Yeah, I
play
was thinking
Thrace,
about that. I don't know if there's, like, literally a single army that you can take besides. Or, well, maybe you can, like, switch up how
you
much
can
fucking
vary how
militia cav.
many
Yeah.
Greek cav and militia cav you have. Yeah. Um, for Dacia, it's like interesting. Like, what do you take? Do you take dogs? Do you take swords? I think the meta has shifted towards swords for Dacia
Like
recently
naked
because it's like,
fanatics.
yeah, yeah. I mean that's like kind of sword. Um,
Horse archers
yeah,
versus barb cav. I mean, think the.
yeah, yeah. I actually think I think Barbcav is pretty defensible for that
Yeah,
matchup,
yeah,
but yeah, I would say it's like high up, like relatively high up as a
yeah,
matchup.
yeah. I'm gonna put it in A for now.
Yeah,
I feel like the
I
only
think what
thing
it's
with these.
missing is like, yeah, sorry.
No, like, the only thing with these barbarian matchups is, like, sometimes, it's not totally, like, I'm not saying it's luck based or anything, but, like, with the way that the morale and stuff works, and, like, the stamina, it can get like sketch very quickly. Whether or not you can route a pike or not, or like when units will mass route and stuff, it can be very, very dicey. Um, which is kind of, like, chaotic, but it definitely, there's also skill to that, so it's not only a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I found that sometimes playing barbs can actually be more like take more skill than playing with civs because with civs I feel like you just don't get punished um for making mistakes. Like with the barbarians, it's like, oh, you were running too much. Well, all your units are fucking exhausted. Whereas like if you have Rome and you ran too much, like okay, yeah, you're winded. You can just like chill for a second. You're fine. Like or like if you run your cav into missile range as a barb, your unit is getting fucking toasted.
Mm,
Whereas Rome like just might not even lose any models at all, just getting like directly rear shot or something like that.
yeah,
It's like
yeah. Yeah, that's a big. That is, yeah. It definitely, it's very punishing. So it requires more exact play, I think, which is good.
Yeah, this is why I tend to pick barbs when I'm in a tournament because I back my skills and I think like yeah, if you're making I feel like I want to lower the odds that you just don't end up paying for any of the dumb mistakes you might make.
Yeah, that makes. Okay, next up, Armenia versus Scythia. I've actually played this matchup in a long time. Like like this has not been on my radar in the slightest. I don't know
I
about you.
have played this matchup. I have played this matchup a lot. I really don't like this matchup. Particularly, I fucking hate playing this with Armenia. It's so annoying. It is hard. Uh, hard to play as Armenia.
Just a
But
lot of chasing.
yeah, I also feel like it's relatively figured out. I feel like I haven't seen anyone pull off like infantry Armenia. Like there was this sort of pervasive idea in the community that oh, the way to play Armenia against Scythia is instead of dealing with the maidens with cataphracts, which have high armor, you want to like circumvent that giant armor piercing bonus that the maidens get. So you take a bunch of
And
Arabs
then pikes.
and pikemen,
Yeah.
and that's just it just turns out that that's not really the way to play the matchup, and you actually do want the cataphracts because just having a stronger cavalry force in this game is so good, even if it's a less cost efficient cavalry force. Um,
So the Arabs just get
so
shot up, right? Like there's no way the Arabs are like the great thing about the cataphracts is like once you like hunt down some units, you can just like sit there and absorb the fire, and they don't give a fuck. Like.
yeah, right. Like you take this like you have two different options. If you take the Arab spam, you can play sort of campy, like a grease almost, like
Hmm.
a really weird grease. And uh, I just think like if the Scythia player is smart, they're like picking off um, pike units by shooting them in the rear, and eventually just sort of crushing your position if Scythia plays it right. And then you can rush, and I think yeah, that's where your Arabs get absolutely demolished.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think that's my experience playing this, if I can remember back. But I don't think I've played this in like legitimately years. So I'll go with you. So where do you stand?
There's definitely like some like the way that I played this recently, and I I was playing Armenia a lot, and the first time I played it, I did a big YOLO rush, and I have done this like a bunch of times for a while. Like nobody was countering me just like hardcore rushing with cataphracts. But then I played two games where I did that. I lost both of them, and I was like, okay, I got to change it up. And so I played like a more patient version of the rush, and that seemed to do
Hmm.
the trick.
Yeah, I don't think Armenia is like. I mean, Armenia is definitely like more aids to play, but I don't think Armenia is like that much worse in the matchup. Actually, I think.
I'm not even convinced that they're worse. I would probably like if somebody picked it. Let's say in a RV
Hmm.
format tournament, I would probably pick Scythia. But I, if I like randomly had to play Armenia in a tournament versus Scythia, I wouldn't be like thinking like, oh, this is unfair.
Yeah. Well, where do you think it should go in the end? I think decide for this.
Um, I feel like this is another like B or B like low B, another low B.
What do you think compared to the other ones? Like like literally similar, like just down here.
Um, yeah,
Okay.
it might be a little worse than them actually. It might be high C.
Okay. Can do that.
I
Or
love
not.
it.
I mean, whatever. We can always move this shit around.
So,
Damn. Actually, hold on. I'm gonna make I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna undo all. Oh, we remember everything. But actually, oh, yeah, control Y. I'll copy
yeah.
this. I'm gonna put this on another layer so that I can move them around later. There was
Why are you so good at paint?
Dude, paint is fucking goated. Gotta know how to use paint, bro. I copy this. There.
not really sure what you're doing. But whatever.
Okay, so I just want to
What the
remember.
fuck are you trying to?
I don't want to forget where this shit was. So we had day shift race. Then we had Mac, car, and
Yeah. I
uh,
guess you were editing this out.
fuck that. I don't have time for that shit. On Mac. Okay. Now that way, if I want to move like something later, I can just like select this, and it won't fucking move like the whole background. So
Okay.
that's the point of that. Anyway, looks like we're back on track. Next matchup is Carthage Brit. This is a good matchup. It's one of the more annoying ones because this is like one of the few matchups that I think is like a legit like just straight up just box from the start. Like there aren't that many of them at 15, but this is like it doesn't have to be played this way, but it's one that's like very commonly played that way, which makes it very boring. But it is like like breaking the box is like a mega skill. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so like I just made new armies for both of these factions, and it was really fun to do. And the theory crafting I think is really cool in this matchup. Yeah, it does take absolutely forever to play this, and so like I don't think I would ever suggest playing this if I'm just like casually playing. Like I would say probably over half the times that I've played this matchup have been in tournaments. Um, so but I would say that yeah, it's quite interesting, quite cutting edge, and I would have to put it in A for that reason.
Yeah, yeah. What do you, I think like the thing about
Also, it's very
Carthage.
fair.
Yeah, it's definitely very fair, but I think Carthage, the advantage that Carthage has is they have like the options, right? Like they can
Yeah,
go for like the non-box strat, which like can catch Brits off guard, and Brits have to like take an army that can prepare. Like if Brits knew that Carthage was in a box, right, they wouldn't take a whole lot of chariots, right? They would just like take other shit because they don't need the chariots that much. But you can't do that because there's always the option that could go for the 8 cav and the spikes type of thing. So it's definitely very interesting, very fair as well. I think just a different. It's a different. It's basically you're playing a very different game, like basically. So it's good.
Y- yeah. I think that that's one of the interesting things is like you don't see matchups that are so fair, but also with such different um, rosters. Like
Yeah, yeah,
Carthage and Britons are very dissimilar. Whereas like Macedon, Carthage, you could say it's like pretty close to fair, but like that's not impressive because the units are the same.
yeah, yeah. Yep. Okay, I think that's good. Very fun matchup. Would play, but also it does take a long time. It's not the most fun. I think that's the one category where it kind of loses out is on like fun, but everything else is very high. Um.
Yeah.
All right, Macedon versus Armenia. This is a classic matchup. I think it's a pretty good matchup. I don't know. I'd say like it has more interesting mechanics than like for example Rome versus Armenia. Um, and yeah, it's pretty fair. I mean, probably people would say Armenia is slightly better, but not by
Yeah,
much.
I think this is actually like an S tier matchup.
Hmm.
Because I this matchup has been played for the entire competitive history of Rome Total War, and I still don't really know what the best way to play this is. So,
Yeah,
particularly for Macedon, I feel like
yeah,
Macedon's actually the interesting side of this matchup, right? Like the way that you play this as Armenia is like you can play it different ways, but you're operating within a pretty limited space of ideas. Like, okay, what if I take Arabs instead of horse archers? What if I take some pikemen instead of some
mhm,
peltas? Or like, what if I try to engage early versus use the horse archers late? Um, there are not that many novel ways to play as Armenia, but yeah, the possibilities for Macedon are endless. And my opinion about which side is better in this matchup has also changed a bunch of times. So I think that's an indicator of a good matchup.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, I think this is And again, it's just like it's one of those matchups that's like there's pikes for one side, there's like cataphracts for the other. Like there's not it's not very balanced. It's one of the matches where the units aren't very similar. I mean, they're more similar than Carthage Brits for sure, but it just like it has horse archers versus light cav. It has literally everything pretty much except for like chariots.
Yeah.
And so that's like really really good. It has like fucking yeah, it has a lot. I'd say definitely somewhere in S. Uh, great matchup. Okay. Nice. Okay, next up, Rome versus Armenia. So this is like the other version of this matchup that I would say is like significantly worse. I think it's still fair, but I would say like my biggest gripe with this matchup is just really really boring. Like it's like Rome 2.0 pretty much. Um,
Yeah, it's fair, but like there's a high element of like randomness that enters when you just go into the cav engagement at the end. I
yeah.
think that's I have like particularly recently, I feel like I've developed like more consistent strategies with Rome to deal with Armenia, and that's made me like this matchup more.
Mm,
Because I used to feel like, oh, as Rome, it's just like you don't really have any good options until the final engagement. Because I was finding that if I tried to play it aggressive and tried to get an archer advantage, the risk of just getting my cavalry caught by cataphracts was so high in comparison to the potential reward of just like getting a couple archers that it felt like playing until the final, or like playing for the final engagement, was sort of the only way that either side could play this. But recently I feel like I've realized that there are good ways for Rome to put pressure on Armenia early. Um, and so I like it more than I used to.
okay. Yeah, that's good. I think definitely like the improvements that have been made overall in the game, like recently will definitely help this matchup a lot. I haven't played it too much. Like I remember like there's a long time like a couple of years ago where we were like really examining like the end game of that matchup, like the six cataphracts and the two Arabs versus the eight Roman cav, and like how to like how that matchup end game played out. But that's definitely kind of stale. And I think like yeah, if there's more, there's definitely more that you can do early on that will change it a little bit. But I still think it's like a little boring. There's not that much dynamism. There's like, it's just Cav, really, and Archers. So I would say it's
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of like a slightly worse version of Armenia versus Macedon.
yeah, I think,
I feel like yeah.
yeah, no, go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like it's a high B low A matchup,
Yeah,
but
that's
I
what,
don't
yeah,
know.
okay, I agree. Yeah, it's definitely, it's that, the good thing about it is really is fair. Like, it is really fair matchup. Um,
I'm also never picking this matchup in a tournament because
yes.
I feel like uh, the chance for somebody to just fluke a win is so high in this matchup.
Yeah, especially like, I don't know, the Cataphracts, dude, like, Cataphracts are crazy good, man. Like, they can be so good or they can be so flimsy. It's very
Yeah.
weird. Alright. Scythia versus Parthia. Mango's favorite matchup. Paris or whatever.
Uh, it's like the same thing. I feel like it's the same. It's the same matchup as
Sky Farm.
yeah, pretty
Yeah, I would
much.
agree. There's really no difference. Yeah, not much.
It's probably worse because there's no possibility of pursuing an alternative.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
there sort of is, but you used to see people go with like Hillman and like 4 cataphracts or like 5 cataphracts, which now seems kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
Like, um, I guess it's yeah, it's I would say similar, but ever so slightly worse
Yeah,
than
I agree.
Scythia Armenia.
And I think like something people would also try to do is go like camel cataphracts with Parthia, but I think that's like really sus. To be honest. Like
Yeah, well, like that's how Mango did it, winning I think RV7.
I just think it's
Um,
just like I don't know, you're so immobile the camel cataphracts.
yeah, no, I mean it's. it's definitely an extremely awkward matchup, especially for Parthia to play. Um, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Not much. Here. All right. Next up, Spain versus Numidia. This is another matchup where like it's pretty similar. Like Numidia, I mean, like they can play it with pretty much exactly the same units. Where like uh, Spain brings like this Kataria or Negative Phoenix or whatever, and does it for Numidia. Or it can be played slightly differently. Like Spain has the ability to take like a more skirmish army, and they have the dogs, they have the fucking green slingers. So Spain has some options. Numidia is pretty much bringing the same thing all the time. Uh, it's a
Yeah, I think this is very similar to like I think that Spain is better. Um,
mhm.
but not overwhelmingly. I think like the advantage that Spain has might be a little bit less than the advantage that like Macedon has over Carthage.
Yeah.
Um, I think I've picked this matchup like a very large number of times in tournaments, but I sort of haven't lately. But I would say I would say this is an excellent matchup. Definitely, maybe like in low S if yeah.
What do you think
I
makes
don't
it
know.
better than like Macedon Carthage in the sense that like both of them are very similar, that you have like basically the same units across the board. Like
Yeah.
one side has the skirmish
So
advantage. Yeah.
the reason is uh I think the dog element, like the choice of taking dogs or infantry for Spain,
Mm,
really adds like an extra dimension that there isn't in Carthage Macedon. Like this, you could take, I guess, like Peltis with your slots that you would use for infantry in that matchup, but generally speaking, you're going to see 8 missiles for both sides in Carthage Macedon, few pikes, and 8 cav. Whereas, like, yeah, that this flexibility that Spain has to either take dogs or infantry is one factor that I
yeah.
think makes it better. Another thing that makes it better is the stamina of the units is less, and so or is lower. I don't know, but the your inefficiency is going to get punished way harder playing in Spain Numidia. Like if you blunder shots onto your calf, you're going to get hurt by that. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's it sucks. Also, like the infantry element too. It's like more like the immediate infantry actually can be really good, but it's also more fragile, right? And like pikes, I feel like a lot of times in Macedon Carthage, like the pikes just kind of survive and they end up kind of like poking each other in the end game and stuff. Like both sides just have them. And they're like, okay, I guess I'll go try to like kill the other pikes. Like the desert infantry are interesting because like they can just insta route. They can also kill a lot of cav. So like killing them is a more interesting proposition than trying to kill the pikes with cav. So the infantry element is a little more interesting, I think.
Yeah, and yeah, I would also say that there's an extra dimension added by the viability of Numidians. Like I don't think it's really good to take Numidians in Macedon Carthage, but I think
Mm,
it is in. So you've got like Javcav, which is basically just adding more asymmetry to the
right,
matchup, which is nice.
right. Okay, sweet. Next up, Numidia versus Greece. This is also a really, really good matchup. Um, I don't know, like, have you been thinking about? I don't know. Did you play this matchup like in the last RV11? Oh,
Yeah, I played it in the final.
in the final. Okay, yeah. So you've been thinking about this matchup. I think this is a matchup that like got played a lot. It's been played for a long time for sure. But like, I guess I wonder because I haven't played it much. I don't think like how like modern gameplay affects this. Like, I think you still basically bring the same thing, right? Like, Nvidia is still bringing the Legion, I guess.
Yeah, I think Greece, right? Yeah, Numidia is gonna take like a 4 legions, 8
Yeah, maybe just
archers, yeah, 8 cav. Um, but Greece has a lot of options, right? You've got the choice between taking Spartans versus armored hoplites. You have the choice of how many infantry you want to take, how many cavalry you want to take, how many missiles you want to take, and it's one of those things where you can really find people that would take like 6 cav in this
Yeah, I was gonna
matchup.
say that. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
now, would I ever do that? No, but it's interesting that you still have this as like a vestige of a bygone era where
Mm,
people think that taking anything less than 8 cav is viable, and so that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's very very interesting. Like what I took in RV11 final was like 4 Spartans, uh, 6 archers, 2 Cretans, and 8 cavalry,
Okay.
which like at some point in time would have been considered a fucking insane army to take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
For sure. Yeah.
I
Okay.
would.
Let's.
It's S tier for me.
It's definitely S tier. Yeah. It's one of the most. Yeah. It's a very asymmetric matchup as well, which is good. Like huge differences in like cav strength and infantry strength and like pikes versus like fucking legions. Like when the fuck do you see that in PvP?
I also think it's fun to both watch and play.
Yeah. 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 So I think overall this fight is definitely up there S tier. Okay, next up, Poncelli. I think this is a bona fide S tier matchup. One of the most
Agreed. Yeah.
interesting matchups in the game. I think definitely it's I mean, it used to be very interesting when people would take legions. I think it's even more interesting now that like the some of the like the pike armies for Selly and like cav armies for Selly even are like pretty understood now. I think it's like one of the matchups that has like the most well like doesn't have the most options, but has really very different options, which makes it really interesting. And then it's just like it's a bit random. Like I think like the way that the chariots interact is like a little random, but like it's super micro intensive. It's super like fast paced and just like yeah, very good matchup. Only improved over time, I would say as well.
Yeah, I agree. And also, it's one of the few matchups where like if you ask me how, like, if we were to get a chance to watch like Rome Total War played at like an Olympic level, like a world
Mm,
level, let's say where there were millions of players, and they were playing like Macedon Carthage, I would be like pretty sure that they're playing it the exact same way, or like pretty close to the exact same way that players right now play it.
mm,
But in Poncelet, I have absolutely no idea how deep it goes. Like there could be uh, armies that are pretty radically different from the ones that are used right now that actually turn out to be optimal.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I'd say this is like I mean this is my favorite matchup in the game, so I'm biased, but I would put this like high S.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've picked this matchup in tournaments more than any other matchup because you you can literally just take somebody completely out of their fucking depth. Like
Yeah.
if you're better than somebody, they're going to be fucking confused trying to
It also
play
like
this
yeah,
against you.
it takes away a lot of like the annoying stuff you can do in regular matchups, like just like the like stupid chasing units around the battlefield and stuff like that. It's just like that doesn't happen in this matchup that much. Like it's yeah, it's very different. I think it's pretty like even though the chariot interactions are pretty random, I think it's like actually pretty random proof matchup. Like I guess technically like a chariot could just like kill another chariot with like 9 men, but usually if a chariot like wins, even if it wins fairly decisively, it's like usually just like a flame away from being mucked anyway. So it's not like a huge
Yeah, and
deal.
also it's like you're relying on like multiple random trials rather than
Right,
like the
right.
single random trial, which is a cav fight. Like,
Yeah, honestly, having Pontus in this con, that's what I'm really like. Literally, none of my matchups ever come down to like an end game like that. It's like so much of like this matchup, but also just like Pontus in general, comes down to like the mid game, which is it's very different than a lot of the matchups where it comes down to the end game. Maybe that's a difference we'll see overall in like the S tier matchups versus some of the lower tier ones as well. Like the relative importances of like the early mid game versus like the like inevitable cav.
yeah, well, I feel like if you get to an end game that isn't just like clearly winning, you just lose against Pont if they know how to use chariot archers. That's part of
Yep.
it. Like,
Um. Okay. Next up, Brit versus Greece. This is a really weird matchup. Like, I think it can be played multiple ways. Like you can play it like Carthage, I guess, but you can also just play it with like the meme stamina, like a Spartan just run around the map and eventually you can catch fucking Britain units. Pretty funny. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think about this?
I think it's a good matchup. That's kind of like a simple take on it. I think it's actually relatively underexplored,
Yeah, I agree.
like even less than Carthage Britons. It feels like Brits is stronger, and that's part of the reason like it doesn't get played as much. Like but then again, like certain rush strats might actually be pretty strong for Greece. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think the problem is that Britain's is better.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, I'd say this is like I'd say it's like a B tier matchup. I think because it's underexplored, and I think that's like it's again very asymmetric, and like you can pull out a lot of ideas for Greece especially. But yeah, I don't think it's that fair.
This would be a good like prep matchup. Like if
Yeah,
you're trying to
exactly. This
like
would be exactly what that is. I think a B tier. I could see it in C, but I'll put it in low HP. I think maybe alongside D matchup.
yeah, it's so different from those matchups, but I think it's better than those matchups actually.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I could.
I feel like Matt Carr not being in S tier is going to be controversial because it's like such a
It's a
staple.
classic. Yeah, it is a classic.
Yeah.
But I think classic doesn't make good necessarily.
No, it's just like one of the most obvious things to think like, oh, these two factions are kind of similar. Let's play them.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are we? Numidia versus Germania. This is I'm trying to think. Like, I don't know if I
Uh,
ever played this matchup to be honest. Like,
I have definitely played
okay,
it. It's actually pretty. The problem is the matchup changes hardcore if you go to a big map, and so that to me is like not a good thing. Like you want to
right,
be
right.
able to add a spectator without changing the matchup too much. So that's one thing. I I also feel like the
Actually,
options
wait,
for
no, I definitely
Germania.
literally played this in the con final, but I don't remember what the money was. Like,
Yeah, well,
the close
it was
15.
pretty close to 15
Okay,
15.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Then yeah, I do actually play this a lot, but only
It,
con.
your only real option, viable option for Germania is like rushing, and
Yeah,
that which is a lot of Germania matchups. But I don't know. I don't think it's a great matchup. That's my take on it. I don't think it's that good.
yeah. I think it's a very like, yeah. I think like what you said is true. It's like a very straightforward matchup. I think like I don't know, countering the rush is actually pretty interesting. Like, but it just I think the way this plays is it ends up being pretty boring. Like most of the time, it's just like don't
I mean,
fuck
it's
up.
just a worse version of Spain Germania.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think this is like a C tier matchup to be honest. Like I don't know, it
Yeah,
might be worse than these matchups to be honest. Maybe
yeah,
alongside or yeah, maybe up with Dream. Okay. Spain versus Greece next. This is a very good matchup also.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's just worse than Numidia versus Greece, I think, because of the fact that I know this is kind of sounds crazy to say, but I think Spain is actually just better than Greece. Whereas Numidia, I think Numidia Greece is quite equal. I think Spain is on a bit of a win streak in competitive
yeah.
play right now.
I think the big advantage is like the green slingers, right? Like give you a big edge, and the fact that because you don't have to put much money into your cav as the long shield faction in either Nvidia or Spin, because you have better cav to begin with, like the ability to dump more money into your archers is more advantageous than the ability to dump more money, which is what Nvidia.
So, interesting story about this matchup. Uh, I lost as Spain to Chuck in the LOA tournament semifinals in a series where I got kind of embarrassed, like I got 3-0'd. And he also beat me in a friendly in the same matchup, I believe. And I saw you play it against him in the RV. I think it was in the RV 10 semifinals. Is that correct? Did you play that matchup?
I have no idea. I could look
Okay.
real quick.
Well, you you played him in that matchup,
Yeah.
and you won using 6 Balearics. And for some reason, I hadn't really considered the idea of taking 6 Balearics. I think it's because I didn't want to take only 2 infantry like you took.
Two
Um,
two like Scutarii probably or something. Not even.
no, you took 2 Bull
Oh
Warriors,
shit, that's Chad.
and so I saw you win, and I saw the virtue of 6 Balearics, and I was like, okay, well, if I play that matchup, I'm going to take 4 Scutarii
Yeah, this
uh,
definitely seems better.
instead of 2 Bull Warriors, and I ended up picking, or no, Chuck ended up picking that matchup in the final game of the RV10 finals where we were tied 4-4, and because he had had so much success in that matchup against me, but I had that army cooked up for Spain, and it was crazy because it's like I had been losing specifically as Spain to Chuck, and then here I was like picking Spain. I felt like, okay, maybe I'm being really stupid right now, but it worked, and then ever since then, I've basically not lost this matchup as Spain, and I did lose this matchup as Greece to Terra in RV11 in a series that I won. So my thoughts are that with this adjustment, Spain
Spain
is
just
better in the
yeah,
current meta.
yeah. Makes sense. So what do you think? Like C tier also just because it's unfair?
No, I think it's like high B still. I think it's still good. It's
It's
still
not
good to play. It's not like
not
broken.
unfair enough. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to look at I'll have to look at that game. I probably have it somewhere. Um
Yeah, I don't know. You might not have uploaded it. Maybe I was just watching you streaming the
yeah, I mean
Motion.
I'll definitely have to okay, nice. Spain Greece. So next Dacia versus Spain. Like again, I don't know if this is a matchup I've maybe even ever played, but
Yeah, which is weird because I think all of my instincts tell me that this is a super good matchup.
yeah, yeah, no, it doesn't seem bad. Yeah, I
You've
guess
got differences everywhere, but also a lot of parity, I would think. And
infrastructure
I've
pretty
played this
similar.
matchup a few times. Yeah, I think this is super great. I would say it's
That's
actually
just
super
I'm probably gonna
equal.
play this then.
Yeah, I would say this is like high A, but that would be my
Okay.
bias.
No, I don't have anything to say, so. Oh. Yeah, it seems like it would be. Okay, nice. Numidia versus Dacia, so like also kind of similar, I
Like
guess.
same deal, except for yeah, I would say same deal.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Great.
Maybe Dacia's slightly better than Numidia, but
Yeah, I was gonna say the same. I'll put slightly lower. I think maybe, but anyway, that's pretty similar. All right, next up, Max Selly. This is a great matchup that I feel like I still don't know exactly what I would do as Mastodon. I think like it's another of those matchups where like thing is like different to Pontus. Like Selly has options here. Like how many chariots do they need to take? Is a really good question because like they could.
need to at 0, right?
Right,
Like
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like they could literally play this with you and zero, and it would be sort of fine, which is interesting. They probably don't want to take zero because chariots are good, but as a way to
yeah,
counter like
it
some
becomes like
massive
a
armies, right?
slightly better melee, like Armenia with slightly better melee and worse skirmishing.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. But with other options, right?
um,
Because you can take the chariots, of course. You can take companions, right? Like
right, you're not facing necessarily an optimal army against
what you're taking. Yeah,
what you're taking. So like, yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that you'd pick Sele if this
yeah,
matchup were picked in the tournament. Um, at the same time, I think it's pretty darn interesting. And I think it's definitely underexplored. And I think it's kind of like it's free real estate for anyone who wants like if you want to become good at a matchup and like surprise people with something well prepared in a tournament, this is the matchup to do it in
yeah,
because like
yeah.
totally I've come up with some new armies for Macedon recently. I don't know what I would take with Cele with my life on the line here. Cele is like just a weird faction. I feel like it's actually a very good faction in terms of creating, making you make interesting choices for your armies because it lacks the roster is so good, but it lacks a certain cohesion that you have to sort of do wonky shit.
Mm,
Good matchup, I'd say like high
yeah,
A.
yeah, yeah. Very interesting one. Okay. Next up, Germania versus Thrace. This is like a weird matchup. Now I remember like a while ago, people were saying like you could take archers as Germania. I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is.
I
Um,
think you can only take archers as
you can.
Germania.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I
Like
guess you could.
I think every other idea that you try to do is hardcore losing.
Okay. Yeah, that's
But,
interesting.
but that idea is equal, like relatively equal with Thrace. So I think it's a good matchup.
Okay. Yeah. Again, this is a matchup that I've never played in a long time. So like, we're in A tier somewhere.
Yeah, I would say it's an A tier, like mid A tier maybe. Yeah, like I would totally pick this in a tournament. That'd be fun to play.
I guess like my question with this matchup is like, as Germania, right? Like, you need to take the initiative, I guess, right, and try to like pressure.
Yeah, but you have like super fucking
But you
good
have,
cav.
yeah, but you have much better cav to do it. Yeah, yeah, okay. Okay. Next, Scythia versus Greece. This is the other like box matchup, I guess. Like corporate. It's
Do you even
different.
box? I don't even know this matchup. I my feeling is that Greece is just getting absolutely fucked in this matchup.
Yeah, I think if Scythia is playing this like well enough, I think that should be the case. I don't know. There's
Yeah, I think
questions,
this is
but
like a
like,
BS matchup.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's yeah. Scythia just you just need to be smart about how you like approach dealing with the box. I think, but it should be fine.
Yeah, I can't remember losing this as Scythia, and I can remember losing this as
Yeah,
Greece.
yeah, yeah. I guess it's probably done here. That's just not very or also not very fun to
It's
play
just
with. For
I would say it's kind of fun with Scythia. I feel like everything is fun to play with Scythia. Like
I feel like it's just one of those matches that just takes forever. Man. Like you need to be patient and like deliberate enough where it takes a long time.
I think you're assuming that Greece is playing a way that I would not play this.
You would go
Like
you would go more aggressive with Greece?
I feel like you have to. I think yeah, if you just try to camp as Greece, I think you're just losing.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. I guess if Greece playing it more aggressively, it could be more interesting. I don't know. Doesn't seem very very easy to do as Greece though. I think goes back to the point that it's just not very good. Okay. Next up, Rome versus Parthia. Um,
Wait, we
this is
skipped Scythia Macedon.
oh oops, Scythia Macedon. This is actually a great matchup, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Other than the fact that Macedon just should win,
You think
probably.
Macedon should win?
Yeah, you don't think this?
Uh, no, I think there's stuff to do.
Yeah, I just think Macedon should win. like, like Scythia gets play, and like if Macedon like fucks up, they can win. Uh, and I'm not saying I would never lose this as Macedon to a good player, but I feel like I'd win an easy 60% of the time with Macedon.
Hmm.
And same thing with like Karth Scythia, which isn't here, I guess, which it should be.
Oh yeah, I should.
Um, but yeah, same deal. Uh, you just you have worse cav and you have no infantry, and there's
Yeah,
only so like if your opponent is good at mitigating the skirmish potential,
tough.
it's
Yeah,
kind of tough.
yeah,
But I think it's a good matchup, like maybe high B, low A.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'd say it's yeah. I'd put it high. And Ski Car, I actually think Scythia Carthage is, well, yeah, I mean, I guess it's pretty similar. If anything, it might be even
Um,
slightly harder.
yeah, I think this is probably harder for Scythia. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the units are just like less. Uh,
Susceptible.
they're yeah,
And
exactly.
they have better stamina. Or at least,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, so I think it's pretty, I mean, it's very similar in terms of, very similar
there are of
damage.
course like some things that are easier about Car to kill for Scythia, like the range thing and the
Yeah, but
like Lancers
a lot of
are
times,
better. Like
fucking Carthage will just like bring like the goal attack sling, go for, like 6 spikes, right?
what? Oh,
Like full rush.
yeah, but I think that's bad. I think actually Scythia should. You're. I don't know if Scythia should win against that, but I think you're giving Scythia unnecessary amounts of
Play.
counterplay by
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. Because the thing about Carthage is they can actually field a missile force that can where you can't just immediately shoot at Cav without losing the missile war.
I mean, like dogs though.
Well, then yeah, you can go dogs. Um, but if you take, let's say, gold attack slingers, and the dogs are actually liberated to sort of do something else,
Sure, sure.
right? They're not forced to now go at the slingers. They could just support a Cav fight
Right.
or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah. I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. Next one was, okay, so now Rome versus Parthia, I think. Next, yeah, yeah. I think this is an interesting matchup. Like, I don't know. It's similar to
Same
Rome
that it's the same
Arm.
as yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
get.
identical in terms of like how good it is.
Yeah,
Maybe a little better because Parthia has like a little bit
I
more.
think, yeah. I was gonna say, like, I think Parthia's a little more options, but yeah, it's very similar in the end.
It's just funny because it gets played like
Way more
orders of
before,
magnitude
or
less
even,
than
or yeah, no, I guess like,
Arm compared to Arm Rome. Arm
I mean,
Rome
do
is
people
probably
really
the most played
are
CWB
people
matchup.
really picking? I feel like in tournaments, I feel like,
Arm Rome,
yeah,
I
I don't think I see that much. I feel like more
you're
people have picked, at
you're
least in
wrong.
my experience, like a lot of people picked our Rome because like, cause it gets less played, I think.
No, you're wrong.
But okay,
Okay, sorry. Like look at RV11. Rome Arm was played in Varus versus Magia. It
okay.
was played in Amanda versus Beach.
How do you have
It was
it? Like,
played in.
where are you finding?
I've watched all the replays. Um,
You have all the replays?
it-
Where are the replays?
yeah, I have all the replays. Earth gave me them.
Uh,
Yeah, okay. And then it was played in the final. It, that's just the ones that I know about. I think it's probably the most popular matchup in CWB right now.
that's unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of is.
All right. Well, anyway, I think these two are. It's fair to say they're pretty similar. There's not much really
Yes, I
played on
agree.
them. Okay, the last one on this list is Carthage versus Pontus, which I don't think is really a matchup at 15, to be honest.
No, it's kind of fake news. I think yeah, like you can sort of play it with Carthage, but it's I feel like actually in like if you were trying to play this in the year 2025, you're not boxing with Carthage the way that you would be in
Yeah,
2016 or
exactly.
something.
Yeah,
Gotta
it's.
play more map control,
I mean, I don't think
six
you could
slingers,
even
six
seriously
greens.
attempt to box.
I think like I think you can. I mean, like
Pontus
I
has
could
like
probably
Pontus has five gold pikes.
there's probably like three people who could beat my Carthage box with Pontus.
Fair enough. I don't know. Who- Still, realistically speaking, this shit is not real. I don't care. Better than
Yeah.
Mac?
No,
I don't know.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Carthage is right.
Yeah,
Uh,
also at least at one point this was considered a matchup. Like Mac Pont was just never been a matchup. I
yeah.
don't know why it's even there.
Um. Okay. We're going to these. I mean, one matchup I can obviously think of is RVR on here.
Yeah, RVR fucking straight into the fucking F bin.
Yes. I guess
It's fucking
realistically,
garbage.
it's probably like a C tier. Like it's not F because it's like fair, but it's
Okay,
everything else about it is terrible down here. I mean, like it can't be equal as bad.
if RVR didn't exist, I feel like I would have won like 2 or 3 more tournaments than I have.
Yeah, it is
I just like
it's a brutal place to have to go. It's absolutely brutal.
it's cringe. I have actually been enjoying playing RVR more recently because I stopped taking optimal builds and just started um, forcing my opponents to actually play Rome Total War instead of just waiting for stupid cav chargy
Simulator, yeah.
shit at the end. Yeah, yeah, really, it literally just is cav engagement simulator. So like I've been taking infantry and like or like Jav cav. um, I don't know.
It's the chess. We're at chess levels of like having to prep uh first lines. Great play.
Well, only because this literally is the chess of from Total War, which is like you've got the exact same pieces.
Yeah. Honestly, I even feel like RVR should. Well, okay, yeah, I don't know. It's if people take the same armies, like the actual normal army, I feel like it shouldn't even be played with. Should just skip that. Just so fucking dumb. But I think
I kind of I probably disagree with this.
I
I
know
think
like in
like
theory, right? Like playing with the archers actually gives you more chances to like do things, but it's just like I don't know. I
it
feel like
feels yeah. There are moments where RVR feels unbelievably cringe. Like
yeah. Like I can't believe like most of the time I play this matchup is like game 5 of a tournament series. I'm like triple speeding through the archer. Like just get over. Like
yeah,
that is
true.
ridiculous. I'm like
Yeah,
of
no,
course
because like
you can't
no
go
one
overplay,
wants to
right? You
risk
can't
it.
be the one to like rush and like try to like win the archer like creating war. But it's most of the time it's like what if you got to
Yeah,
game
because there are
5 of a
times you
series
dominate the Archer War and you get absolutely nothing out of it. Like you okay, yeah, you got more archers in the end. Okay, your opponent just runs forward.
and they all route, yeah, they route and they
Yeah,
like it's fucking Roman counter.
yeah.
It is.
Right, your options are engage in a fair cat fight or just lose your archers. So
Yeah, so you yeah, it's bad.
stupid.
Okay, can we think of is there anything else off top of anyone's head not on this list? I think this is pretty much most. I'm trying to think like, is there any matchups I've played?
There are definitely more. Like there are matchups that just don't get played that probably should, like Greece Dacia. Like why? There's no reason that
Yeah, yeah,
that
that's a
shouldn't
good
get played.
example. Yeah.
Or you know, I feel like there's lots of these.
But is Germ Spain on here?
Germ Spain isn't on here. It should be.
That's a good one. That's just like a better version of Germ.
Aunt Rome should be on here. It's a
Oh
really good
yeah,
matchup.
yeah. That's a really good one. I think Pont Rome is actually like might be an S. I
Yeah, it's quite good. I would say it's not S tier just because like probably wouldn't take it in a like super. Well, I have taken it in a super important game before, but like I would
critical
feel
game.
very
Yeah,
anxious about it. Yeah.
yeah. I'll put it. Yeah, this is a real like it's a man's
Yeah,
matchup. To
for
get
sure.
to pick it and have to play Rome.
Also, Rome Selly is a real matchup that exists. That doesn't never gets played, but it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a real thing. It's weird how little this matchup gets played. Um,
What Germ Spain? Rome Selly. I'm trying to think. That's yeah, that is interesting, but I don't think I've seen that very much at all.
like again, Selly's probably just better, but
I think again the
I
problem
don't
there is
know.
that just that like Selly can bring like a lot of chariots or like no chariots. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, even more so than against Mac. Like the fucking threat of just bum rushing Rome
I
is
mean, you
so.
can literally have Rome arm. Like, you can literally make it Rome arm. You know, if you just take 6 archers, like some peltas, and like the 6 cataphracts, and like fucking
Yeah, it's
scavengers.
kind of BS that like Rome has to be prepared for Rome arm or just like insane YOLO rush with pikes and
Like the
six
pawn,
chariots. Like,
basically.
yeah,
But
but
I
maybe
think
I
that's
don't
gotta
know.
make it hard for Rome. Like, what the fuck do you take? Because I think like Rome pawn would tell you
Yeah,
that
yeah,
just
yeah,
taking the normal army against fucking pawn rush is like terrible.
yeah. No, it's definitely advantage for
That's where you
Sele.
use Minerva to figure out what the enemy army is. Yeah.
True. Uh, yeah, Germ Greece is not a real thing. That isn't not a real matchup. What
Where
else?
Germ Spain? Where's this go?
Oh, Germ Spain, probably like high A or something like that.
Yeah. And then Greece Dacia. Yeah, I think that's also pretty interesting.
Yeah, probably B matchup, I bet.
Yeah. I think it might be a little worse than Spain.
Yeah, probably. I agree.
Okay.
Might be more fair though. I don't know. Like, you consider Gaul Thrace to be a matchup? I feel like Thrace is the only faction that you can actually match up against Gaul.
Jesus Christ. That is fucking insane.
It's the
I mean,
only faction that doesn't absolutely ass fuck Gaul.
but how is that like different but just worse for Gaul than like Germania?
It is it is that. I
That's
mean,
just
unless you want to argue that like foresters are
unfortunate.
meaningful.
I mean,
I
foresters
mean,
are a fucking
no,
giant unit, then, but
I
Gothics,
think right. It's clearly Thrace is better.
yeah,
Um,
I don't know if I want to stand by.
but like, is it more unbalanced than Mac Pont? I don't know. Maybe
Yeah, but MacPot we wouldn't have put on this list if it wasn't just fucking here.
that's true. Yeah. I'm just thinking, what else could like be considered a matchup? Egypt versus anything be considered like other than Brit? Not really, right?
Yeah.
If,
What
like
else has been there
Egypt,
before?
Carthage is like
Yeah,
fake.
Car.
Like Egigri is so bad. I don't know how anyone ever thought that was a matchup. It's so fucking
Yeah,
ridiculously
those
in
are like the
favor of
only
Egypt.
matchups I've ever heard of, though. I think.
Yeah, I mean it's just like nothing has a chance. It's
I
just,
still think
Egypt is so
I still
good.
think a good idea in the future would be to make like sub factions, like Egypt no chariots, or like I don't know other things like that. I think that would like
Yeah,
give you a lot of more like interesting matchups. That would just like it has to be equal to something.
yeah, yeah, sure. I still think Egypt no chariots is
So
like
fucking.
really strong. Yeah. Um, what else? Maybe no chariots at all. Like no chariot archers either.
Well, yeah, you can
Is
always do
like
that, right? Make it's just worse then, but like it's still gonna be better than like some factions and worse than some factions. So it's gonna have
I
probably
mean,
two.
with no chariots at all, it's still good. Yeah, I feel like it still beats Greece probably. Um,
Like it's probably yeah definitely better than I think. I mean
it's it's
yeah
it's it's definitely better than like barbarians.
yeah well, yeah kind of it's got to be like somewhere below Macedon and Carthage, right? Like I feel like the cav
Like,
advantage. It might be playable. It might because they're so cheap. I guess you have the pikes, the good pikes and the archers.
yeah, I don't know. I'm not
That might be
sure.
interesting.
I have to find out. Um, what else could be considered viable? We're definitely missing a spot, but I don't know where it is.
Any other Brit matchups?
Not really. I
No.
mean, you can technically play Brit Mastodon,
Oh
but
yeah.
it's just
Not
not
all
real.
the time.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I think we did a good job.
Like Carthage Seleucid's a thing, maybe? Right?
No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no, no,
that's
no shot. Oh, Carthage Armenia though is absolutely a thing. And it's
ooh,
not here,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
And Carth Parth.
yeah. Yeah, I
And I
feel like
think
that
that's
doesn't get
actually
played
good.
at all either, right?
Yeah, I would say like this a B tier.
Yeah. Oh, Armenia versus Parthia is not on here. That is
Oh,
that is
I actually like that matchup. So I think it's good.
I feel like I don't know, like it feels just like very
Mirrory for sure.
very yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's gotta be like a B tier matchup.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's probably B, but I do like it. Personally, I'm biased in favor of it.
What for?
I think because like the fact that I recently found renewed faith in Armenia to make that matchup competitive.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
Um, it's weird because like Thrace doesn't really match up against Numidia or Spain. I feel like those are fake matchups as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I feel like yeah, there's like certain like tiers of factions like Dacia, Greece, Spain, and Numidia. Like any and like kind of Germania, like any of those, any combination of those matchups, I feel like are good.
yeah, it's like Thrace is in its own tier where like it's like can kind of match up with some of those factions, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
like Thrace, I think is like obviously the second worst faction in the game, and I don't know why Spain had that reputation for so long. It's clearly not true. It's not even close to being the second worst faction in the game.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, like it's fucking Thrace,
Yeah, it's definitely.
and we don't even have to talk about what the worst faction in the game is. That's super obvious. Best and
Oh,
worst are like
that's
not even debatable. Yeah, there's one faction that just doesn't appear here because it has no viable
that's so
matchups.
sad. Oh, also, what about Germania, Dacia? Does it get played at all, or is it just too good for?
No, I think it's legit. Oh, and Germania Scythia is probably legit as well. Although Scythia is definitely better.
Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I definitely remember playing this.
Honestly, Germ Greece, it feels like actually should be. I think no, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's not real.
No, I think it's not real. With the con money is like Germ favorite, but
Yeah, like I think by a lot. I think it's like 13-5, 15-7 or some shit.
just the archer. I was watching my games Germania versus fucking Toro from like one of the cons where he brought like the box and I had to like break the box with the like just
Yeah, I mean, I had to break his box with no pikes.
yeah, but you had archers.
Yeah,
That did not end well.
no. I also had fear units. It was like once you get depleted, it was
That was
pretty over.
that was the worst scene. I can't lie. Like it was literally a four like
But, let's see.
um yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Over an hour long already. Yeah, I'm good to call it. Eh, this
I mean, yeah, I actually have to go. So,
good timing.
uh, yeah. All right, man.
All right,
Talk to you later.
later.